Again, my name's Gabe Zollner. You know, we really need to get a handle on this Benghazi situation. Remember when it first sort of broke? When I say it broke, I'm talking about when some of the truth broke. And we were told that the survivors, and we were told there were a number of survivors, were taken. First, we were told they were taken to Tripoli. And then we were told they were taken to Germany. And then we were told they're taken to Italy. And then all of a sudden things got real quiet. We weren't told, I don't believe ever told, as to how many survivors there actually were. And different numbers keep popping up. Now, if you remember when Hillary Clinton, after banging her head, was on the witness stand, she said that she spoke to one of them, and there was between 20 and 25. And I've made a number of videos on this, and one of the things I kept saying is, how would she not know how many there were? What's this between 20 and 25? These survivors are true living American heroes, having survived a plot, which is what I believe they survived. Now let's go a little bit further ahead. Then we've got Congressman Chaffetz. He sort of gets on the bandwagon and says that he demands that he wants to speak to one of the survivors, or to the survivors, period. Well, that really doesn't come to fruition until about 6.5 months later, and then he doesn't actually speak to one of the survivors. No, he said on Fox News, when he was on there recently, that he actually spoke to the parents of one of the survivors. Now, it's really interesting because when he said he spoke to one of the parents, he also said that the reason we can't find the survivors is because this particular individual was put in the hospital, military, I guess, hospital, under an assumed name. Now, if he was put in under assumed name, how would Congressman Chaffetz have been able to find the parent? Well, the only way that could have happened is if the parent contacted him. And one would wonder why he would do that when none of the other parents have contacted any other senators. Now let's go to Senator Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham got on the bandwagon as well. He said he wanted to talk to one of the survivors. He hasn't been able to do so, to the best of my knowledge. Even Lame Brain McCain, he got on the bandwagon, and he also has not been able to speak with or talk to or interview any of the survivors. Now, we have a senator, actually the past senator, he's now Secretary of State. What did he say? Well, John Kerry said that he actually spoke with one of the survivors at the hospital, and he spoke with their parents, and he thinks that they're heroes. Okay, well, what did he learn? How come we don't know what he learned other than he spoke to one of the survivors at the hospital, and he thinks that both, I guess, I mean, you know, none of it makes any sense. And then you have to answer yourself a couple of questions, or try to answer yourself a couple of questions. Not all the survivors could be in the hospital, I don't think. And not all the survivors received the kind of massive injuries someone must have received to spend 6.5, going on 7 months in a hospital. Well, what happened to those survivors that weren't injured? I can't believe that they were all injured. Where are they? Why haven't any of them come forward? Why haven't any of their parents come forward to tell the American people what their children did in support of our freedom? Don't you find it really strange and unusual that 7 months, close to 7 months later, we don't know anything about what really happened? All we know is the spin that we've been given. And the spin has been proven to be nothing but lies. Remember the lady that worked for the State Department, Charlene Lamb? What did she say under oath? She said that at 10 o'clock Benghazi time, they were watching live feed video of the slaughter. Yet the administration, led by Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, led by President Barack Hussein Obama, led by the United Nations Ambassador Susan Rice, what did they all say? They all said that what happened that evening was because of a video that was made by somebody in California, when they all knew the truth. Why do you think they would be spinning such lies for so long? Well, the only thing that makes any sense to me is they were trying to cover up a failed plot. Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know what I believe happened. And to this day, going on 7 months, I still believe what I believe happened. There was a plot that was put together by the visiting Muslims from Egypt that Obama arranged to bring to the White House under special visas because of their records. And the plot that was put together was to kidnap the ambassador, not to kill him. And what ended up happening was the administration reduced the effective fighting force at the facility by removing 14 or 15 armed personnel 2 weeks prior to the planned dinner meeting that the ambassador had scheduled to have with a representative from Turkey. Now, you can imagine the bad guys, you know, the Al-Qaeda boys, the guys that our Secretary of State has given, I think, $60 or $80 million in all kinds of weaponry, under the instructions of our President, Barack Hussein Obama. The name itself tells you what he's all about. Come on, folks. You got to stop being in denial. Anyway, so now the bad guys are told, hey, this is going to be a cakewalk. It wasn't a cakewalk. Why? Because of a couple of American heroes, deceased American heroes. The reason they're deceased is because our government provided no assistance. These individuals fought on for 7 hours. Tyrone Woods and Glen Doherty, ex-Navy SEALs, fought on for 7 hours. And I don't know how accurate the information that we have is, but supposedly they killed 60 bad guys by themselves. Those two killed 60 bad guys. So now the bad guys are really torqued. They're really peed off. So when they finally get a hold of the ambassador, they're not interested in kidnapping. They're interested in raping and murdering him, which is what they did. So what can these survivors tell us? An awful lot. That's why we can't find them. That's why we know not where they are. That's why we know not what they did, what job descriptions they held, which departments within the government they worked for. And you know what? We'll probably never know. And the reason I don't think we'll never know, I think they're all gone. They're too much of a liability. This criminal administration has spent billions of dollars to get to the point that they're at. The organization behind Obama has plotted and planned this for 25, 30 years. They're not going to let 20 or 25 or 55 or 105 or 155 or 100,000 people get in the way of their objective. Obama's almost achieved his objective in the Middle East. If it wouldn't have been for President Assad, he'd be much further ahead now. He would have already finished off Jordan. And I'm sure Jordan is next on Obama's target list. And once he ends up converting Jordan to Sharia law, guess what? It's not going to stop there, folks. Nothing makes any sense.